Here we are again, everyone. Hello. It is another Love Your Liver live stream Friday. I am Dr. Garrett Smith. Let me get my desk a little get my desk a little straighter here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts, here to destroy the phony, corrupt nutrition science myths that we've all been sold. Those of you who saw what the subject of today's was resveratrol, the wino's favorite excuse to drink more wine, right? I'm drinking my resveratrol, it's good for me, as they're on their second bottle. No. Just so you guys know, there's going to be a lot of Q&A today. This resveratrol thing shouldn't take me too long to go through. So if you have questions, cues, right, put them in the chat and I'll give them the A's, the answers. And super chats are enabled. So if you want your question to go to the top of the list, figure out how to do super chats. I've never done one, but it's there for you to do if you want to do it. And then if you are interested in, after all of this, if you are interested in the Love Your Liver program, where I go through destroying more of these myths, that is at members.nutritiondetective.com. And there's also working directly with me. You can find that under consultations at nutritiondetective.com, where I do all that hair analysis and blood testing. One of the few people who does both, because just like different tools for different jobs, we use different labs to assess different things. Makes sense, right? So let's jump in. Resveratrol. It is one of the antioxidant polyphenols. Let's just cover some basics about antioxidants first. Your body has its own antioxidant system. It always has. Oxygen is oxidative. We are constantly, we need oxygen to live, and yet oxygen is killing us. So your body was designed by God with an antioxidant system of its own. Your body was also designed with an oxidative detoxification system. Oxidation helps you to detox, especially certain enzymes like alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. And for those of you who understand that vitamin A is a poison and not a vitamin, those two enzymes are extremely important in your ability to detox and get rid of this poison called vitamin A from your system. Also helps to get rid of ethanol, which, ethanol's alcohol, helps to get rid of that out of your system, helps to get rid of all sorts of alcohols out of your system. So, antioxidants, the plant antioxidants, the antioxidant theory of disease, where you can just shove a bunch of plant compounds into your system and supposedly present disease. Well, first of all, that's been proven in science to be bunk. It's garbage. It's worthless. Can antioxidants make somebody who's really toxic feel better for a little bit? Sure. Somebody who's really tired can drink caffeine and feel better for a while. It doesn't mean anything health-wise, other than it's probably going to go bad at some point. So antioxidants slow down your detox system. That's what they do. It's in the research. Polyphenols have been shown to slow down your aldehyde dehydrogenase system. So you're drinking, so imagine this. You're taking in a lot of polyphenol resveratrol via wine because you think it's good for you. You're also taking in a lot of sulfites in wine. Sulfites are naturally present in wine. Here in America, we love to add extra to the wine, unless it's organic. So as a preservative, sulfites slow down ALDH. So now you're putting in alcohol, and you're drinking polyphenols, which slow down aldehyde dehydrogenase, which is part of the alcohol detox mechanism. And then you're also taking in sulfites, which slow down ALDH, which is also part of your alcohol detox mechanism. And yet the billion-dollar alcohol industry is willing to pay scientists to tell you that alcohol consumption, to a certain extent, is healthy, when there's other major reviews showing that there is no amount of alcohol that you can consume that's healthy. Now, you may still choose to do it. You can do that. Just don't fool yourself that it's healthy. And don't fool yourself that wine is necessarily healthier. Okay. So we've been told that resveratrol is super healthy, right? So I took a bunch of quotes out of these papers. Here's something you can do for fun. If you want to look up stuff that, especially plant-based stuff, I'm not all against plants, but plants do chemical warfare. That's what they do. Animals have teeth and claws and, all sorts of defenses. And plants do chemical warfare. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. So let's get into polyphenol. The other thing about polyphenol, phenols are well-known. Phenol is a well-known toxin. It's been used in warfare before. Polyphenol. So we're going to sit there and go, oh, well, phenol's bad, but you get a bunch of them together and it's good for you, right? That makes sense. Sure. So when you want to look at these things, go and type in like polyphenol toxicity PubMed. You get to see the studies on it. That'll bring up a lot of the PubMed links, which is the biggest database, the best database of studies. Don't think that every study on there was funded by the NIH, because that's not true at all. Are there plenty of corrupt studies out there? Sure. That's one of my jobs, is to figure out what is BS and what is not. Like when they come out with studies saying coffee's good for you and alcohol's good for you and chocolate's good for you, and they just so happen, I want you to think about this. If they sell you something on every street corner in a city, coffee, sugar, alcohol, chocolate, if they sell that to you on every street corner of every major city, I'm going to tell you that's the way you know it's not good for you. That's how you know. There's drugstores on every corner of big cities, right? Do you think there's any coincidence between these things? They don't want you healthy. Healthy people don't buy stuff. Healthy people don't need a lot of stuff. Okay? So type in polyphenol toxicity PubMed, type in resveratrol toxicity PubMed. That's how I get these papers. This is not hard. People just don't go looking for it because all they've heard in the media is that it's good for you. Must be good for you. Everybody says it's good for you. Must be. Who's this crazy guy out here, the nutrition detective, saying it's not good for you? Well, let's go into this paper. The paper is called Potential Adverse Effects of Resveratrol, a Literature Review. That means they went through quite a few studies, generally, to come up with this. So I'm just taking quotes out of this paper. I put the link in the chat. Okay. Indeed, toxicity and adverse effects were reported following consumption of resveratrol. Therefore, extensive future studies on the long-term effects, as well as the in vivo adverse effects of resveratrol supplementation in humans, are needed. So what do they mean by what they just said? There's no long-term studies on this. Oops. Boy, it's been recommended for everybody. They're saying that you should take it for longevity. And yet there's no long-term studies, or very few. There's no extensive studies on long-term effects, as well as the in vivo. That means in full animal systems, right? Like a full human being. Most of the studies, I'm going to tell you this, folks, this is also called the duration paradox. This is a term I've created called the duration paradox, which is where they'll have things in either, in vitro studies, like petri dish type studies, like cell studies, membrane studies, receptor studies, and they'll say that it's good for you. It looks like it does great things. And then when they get it into the full animal, the full human, over a longer term, it does terrible things. Gosh, what do you think I'm about to go over with you? The other thing about the duration paradox is that things will look good in the short term in full animal or full human studies and be disaster in the long term. Vitamin A is one of those things. They love to do cell studies on vitamin A and then tell you how much you need it. And what do I do every day? I fix people from this poison. So, continuing. These studies suggest that resveratrol still has an unexplored side. Finally, we discussed the new delivery methods that are being employed to overcome the low bioavailability of resveratrol. Okay. Unexplored side. Do you think they mean a bad side that they haven't looked into very much? They've kind of ignored that side, maybe. And they're trying to find new delivery methods to overcome the low bioavailability of resveratrol. Do you think that if your body wanted resveratrol really badly, it would have low bioavailability? Or do you think your body might say phenols, polyphenols, plant toxins, maybe we don't want these, so we're going to make it harder to absorb them? What do you think is true? Do you think we were poorly designed? I don't. So let's go into this. Now, there's some big words in here. Rhododendrol, a tyrosinase inhibitor used in lightening/whitening cosmetics, can increase the incidence of leukoderma skin toxicity. Okay, so we're talking about rhododendrol. Now, resveratrol, similar to rhododendrol, is a P-substituted phenol that is rapidly converted to toxic O-quinones. Okay. It was shown that resveratrol can act as a substrate of tyrosinase, a key enzyme in the production of melanin, to produce reactive O-quinones, which they just said were toxic. Tyrosinase-generated O-quinones from resveratrol metabolism can decay to produce oligomers, which act as pro-oxidants that cause melanocyte, that's the melanin-producing cells, melanocyte cytotoxicity, that's cell toxicity, due to their ability to bind thiol-containing proteins. So they're basically just saying resveratrol can cause skin toxicity. Well, you want to know something funny that people notice in the Love Your Liver program and after working for me is that when they go out in the sun, they don't burn anymore. Burning in the sun for you light-skinned folks, for you dark-skinned folks, you got a different setup. But for you light-skinned folks, when you burn in the sun very easily, you are really toxic. That's just the way it is. It's not a judgment. It just is. So they're just saying that tyrosinase-generated O-quinones from resveratrol metabolism can decay to produce oligomers, which act as pro-oxidants that cause melanocyte cytotoxicity. The cells that produce melanin are getting toxic. Gosh, do you think that would have something to do with getting burned? And then also what people show is that the lighter skinned people, this is an interesting thing because a lot of people think getting a tan is a goal. I'm not so sure about that. Because as people get less and less toxic on my system, they're able to stay out in the sun without burning. And they don't really tan as much as they used to. What if tanning is just showing, like when you put a whole chicken in the oven and it gets brown on the outside? What if that's just what your skin is doing? Except we can repair it. What happens when you go out of the sun and you stay out of the sun for a long time? The tan goes away. We can fix damage. Do you understand? We can repair skin damage. Oh, you mean like melanocyte cytotoxicity? So, continuing. This is just a little aside for you copper pushers out there. This was a little thing that was put into this resveratrol paper. Copper levels are generally increased in various malignancies, like malignant cancer. Copper levels are generally increased in various malignancies. I just wanted to throw that in there because they put that in this paper. And they were talking about how resveratrol and copper could combine to become extra cytotoxic, extra toxic to the cells in a chemotherapeutic manner. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have anything to do with chemotherapy. Chemical therapy that they hope kills the supposed bad cells before it kills your good cells. Never forget that. That's what chemotherapy means. They just hope it kills the tissue they want it to kill before it kills you. Continuing, previous studies indicated that resveratrol could blunt the function and expression of drug transporters, thus improving the anti-proliferative activity and poor bioavailability of several drugs. This resveratrol effect may increase the risk of hepatotoxicity, that's liver toxicity. To add, resveratrol can increase the anticoagulant activity of warfarin, which may increase the risk of bleeding. It's improving the bioavailability of several drugs. Are drugs nutrients? Remind me, are they good for you, drugs? Are they saying that resveratrol can increase how much of a poisonous compound can get into your system? Interesting. And this resveratrol effect may increase the risk of liver toxicity from said poison medications. To add, resveratrol can increase the anticoagulant activity of warfarin, which is a vitamin K antagonist, which may increase the risk of bleeding. You may want to watch on this channel. I have a video about how vitamin A depletes vitamin K. And here we have resveratrol increasing the activity of warfarin, which is a vitamin K antagonist. Aren't these weird patterns, weird coincidences showing up? Continuing, this is consistent with findings showing that the high but not low resveratrol concentrations induced the production of reduced glutathione and caused cell toxicity in vitro. Everybody's like, we need more glutathione. We need more glutathione. Do you understand that, like, if your body's having to produce more glutathione, you're probably being poisoned? This is a thing that people don't always understand, is certain things where they hear me talk about ALDH and they think, oh, the goal is to take things that would increase your ALDH. No, we do the opposite. We try to stop putting things in that slow down ALDH. We don't try to purposely speed up ALDH. Because like this, they're just saying here, resveratrol, somebody might say, well, I want to increase my glutathione. Oh, well, this study said that resveratrol increased my glutathione, but it also caused cell toxicity. Are you putting it together? Your body ramped up its defense system because cells were dying. Countries try to increase the size of their military before they go to war, don't they? So for all you people out there who think you're going to take herbs and do other things to stimulate your immune system, be careful. You might be increasing your toxicity, and that's why your immune system increased, because it's under assault. Okay. Resveratrol is a chemotherapeutic agent. Molecularly, resveratrol chemotherapeutic promise is thought to be achieved clinically by inducing oxidative stress and apoptosis in different types of cancer cells. Yet, there were concerns about possible toxic effects exerted by the recommended chemotherapeutic doses of resveratrol and other polyphenols on normal cells. The toxicity of different polyphenols, including resveratrol, was studied on rat thymocytes. Your thymus is an extremely important organ in your immune system. Thymocytes, thymus cells. Among the different tested polyphenols, resveratrol was the most cytotoxic to normal rat thymocytes, thymus cells. Wow. They're trying to study resveratrol as a drug, a chemotherapeutic drug. Sounds good for you. Several studies reported the in vivo toxicity of resveratrol in rats. For instance, when administered in high doses, resveratrol could lead to death due to cardiac inflammation. Gosh, does that sound like anybody heard of, like, I don't know, maybe myocarditis lately? Weird. Dilatation of the renal tubules, necrosis of the papillary, acute inflammation in the pelvic area. I think that would lead to infertility. And severe nephropathy, that's kidney disease. In addition, high doses of resveratrol could cause significant increases in the blood urea, nitrogen, and creatinine levels. That's showing kidney problems, as well as liver enzymes. Wow. Sounds like a magical plant nutrient to me. Now, this one's long. I'll go over the meaning of it right after we're done. Let me just make sure everything's still going well. Yep. Okay. The potential toxicity and anti-angiogenic activity of resveratrol was also evaluated in zebrafish. Different doses of resveratrol, considered relatively high in vitro models, were used to treat zebrafish embryos. Resveratrol inhibited the formation of major blood vessels by downregulating VEGF. This dose-dependent toxicity comes together with teratogenic deformities, birth defects, that's what that means, reduction in the survival rate, heart edema, and reduction in the hatching rate. The lethal dose 50, which means 50% of the zebrafish embryos would have died. The lethal dose 50 of zebrafish embryos treated with resveratrol for 96 hours was 75.3 milligrams per liter. Moreover, the short-term in vivo chorionic ecotoxicity of zebrafish treated with resveratrol showed an LD50 of 51.4 milligrams per liter. Don't worry too much about those numbers. Given the reports about the toxicity of resveratrol in rodents and zebrafish, combined with the lack of full data on resveratrol's systemic toxicity in other species, the toxicity of resveratrol on target organs remains mostly not well defined and is still pending further studies. Although it is generally well tolerated, whatever the hell that means, some adverse effects, including nephrotoxicity, kidney toxicity, and gastrointestinal problems were reported in human subjects. A 450 milligrams per day dose of resveratrol was reported to be a safe dose for a 60 kilogram person. However, resveratrol at a dosage of 1,000 milligrams per day or above was reported to inhibit cytochrome P450 isoenzymes such as cytochrome 3A4, cytochrome 2C9, and cytochrome 2D6, while activating cytochrome 1A2, thus leading to interactions with many other drugs. It slows your detox down, folks. Just wait. Cytochromes and ALDH. Wow. Interesting. Why would they be? And here's the other thing. So they'll say this is resveratrol, but they're not necessarily talking about all the other polyphenols that they've got you trying to eat to eat the rainbow, right? Eat the rainbow. Eat all your berries and all your brightly colored fruits and your mangoes. You know, those carnivores getting into the mangoes and the papaya and all these brightly colored fruits. Part of that color is vitamin A. Part of that color is polyphenols. Weird how they're both toxic, and we talk about aposematism. Let me go find my aposematism article. If you did not know, folks, nature marks toxic compounds with bright colors. Polyphenols are bright colors. And here we are talking about toxicity. Slows down both types of your detox in your liver. Here we go. Here's a fun one. In a phase 2 clinical trial on patients with refractory multiple myeloma, they got cancer, a daily dose of 5 grams of resveratrol was administered. Side effects of resveratrol, including nausea, diarrhea, fatigue, and renal toxicity, might have caused the loss of this patient. He dead, DED dead. Isn't this a magical plant nutrient? Last sentence from this. All of these contradictions call for an urgent need to appraise and investigate the adverse outcomes of this compound despite its documented benefits. Does it sound like maybe another poison they pulled over your eyes? The wool got pulled over your eyes again? I used to believe this stuff. It's not just you. They got everybody with this stuff. Now, let's just go down to another paper. This will be a quick one. Risk and safety of polyphenol consumption. Adverse effects of polyphenols. Oh, wait, let me put this link in there. Adverse effects of polyphenols have been evaluated primarily in experimental studies. It is known, for example, that certain polyphenols may have carcinogenic/genotoxic effects or may interfere with thyroid hormone biosynthesis. Isoflavones, we talked about soy last week. Isoflavones are of particular interest because of their estrogenic activity, for which beneficial as well as detrimental effects have been observed. Furthermore, consumption of polyphenols inhibits non-heme iron absorption and may lead to iron depletion in populations with marginal iron stores. Finally, polyphenols may interact with certain pharmaceutical agents and enhance their biologic effects. Okay. We're here undoing all of this nonsense that we were all sold. Eat your brightly, strongly, darkly colored vegetables because they're the best for you. Take your antioxidant supplements, take your resveratrol, take your turmeric, take all these things. Remember, what I'm doing here is not making a lot of people a lot of money. It's actually going to hurt a lot of industries. Because not only if you're sicker, you buy more medical care, but if you buy more health foods and supplements that you think are making you healthy and you're getting sicker, what do you do for a long time? What did all of us do for a long time until we realized we were being poisoned? We keep buying more and more and more. Because we're sick, right? We double down, we triple down, we buy more supplements. This is not the way. A couple supplements, we use them. We use stuff like, specific minerals. Very specific. The list of minerals that you need is actually very, very short. Everybody's getting into these trace minerals, these 72 minerals in their sea salt and their real salt and their pink salt and their trace mineral drops and all this. And they're like, but don't you need all these minerals? 72 minerals. Okay, so let me do a little math for you. On the trace elements hair analysis, which they test the most, they don't have, it may not be exactly the most, but they test that's what I use. And they test a lot of minerals. They test 35 minerals, 36 was it at last count? They have a section that is nutritional elements, like supposedly the ones you need. That's, I think, 18 or 20 elements. And that's even higher than I think people actually really need. So if only 20 are actually essential, what does that make the other 52? If you don't need them, it's very likely that if you get any excess of them, they're toxic. Okay? Your 72 trace mineral supplement or your magical sea salt or mined salt from under the ground that has all 72 minerals, probably about half of it is toxic for you. And they are happy to sell it to you. And they'll say, oh no, you need, here's the funny thing when you look at the analysis of those things. They'll use different analysis methods for different metals. Do you think that they're using different analysis things when they get to the toxic heavy metals because they really want to find the toxic metals in their salt or their trace minerals so they can't sell them to you? Or do you think they might pick the analysis method that shows it in the best light so that they can continue selling it to you? What do you think? These are gigantic industries, folks. I'm one little guy out here trying to do this. These are billion-dollar industries paying off scientists, figuring out how to sell stuff to you. So, first question. Let's get into the questions. Now, remember, if you got a question you want to prioritize, you want to get it answered today, that's the super chats. Okay, Mehmet asks, Dr. Smith, I react to 50 micrograms of potassium iodide supplement with very distinct hyperthyroid symptoms, but not with other high iodine foods. Iodized salt can still be strong. Any theory on that? And he continued here, one of your videos I saw potassium iodide referred to as poison. It is possible it is too stable and acts as a drug when taken in the form of the pure supplement. Let me find my potassium iodide. I think I did a potassium iodide video on this channel. I'm not going to go search for that. But what I am going to do, I'm going to put my link to the massive list of side effects known from potassium iodide. They'll give it to shut down your thyroid. Let me just go look at this. Let me just take a couple quotes out of this. So for those of you taking Lugol's or Iodoral or SSKI, first of all, I want you to use, those of you who are here are probably not new to, like, you know, the conspiracy ideas. Now, one of the things they were giving out for free, you know, the pokies, I call them, they gave them out for free. Was that good for people? What are countries giving out for free because they are worried about new clear events? Oh, they're giving out potassium iodide. Oh, interesting coincidence that they're giving these things out for free. What did Ronald Reagan say? We're like, I forget how many words it was. 9 scariest words in the English language were, I don't know that the number's right. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. If they are giving you something for free, you probably don't want it. Okay. Here's a quote from a paper. The treatment of Graves' disease, hyperthyroidism, by potassium iodide is followed by rate failure of thyroid function. They have a hyperthyroid person. The treatment of Graves' disease by potassium iodide is followed by rate failure of thyroid function. Oh, we're going to give you mega dose, high dose potassium iodide to protect your thyroid in the case of an event. For free. We're going to give it to you for free. We're going to give it to you for free. We're going to put it in all your salt. In almost all the salt. You can go and look at that article for all the other listed side effects. Maybe I'll see if I can see anything else here. Oh, this is from the potassium iodide on ToxNet. In a small proportion of individuals, this is going to be important for what I'm about to explain. In a small proportion of individuals given large doses of iodide for long periods, thyroid gland shows hyperplasia and is depleted of stores of iodine. It depleted, so iodide, potassium iodide, depleted the thyroid of iodine. Let me explain what I believe is going on here. Potassium iodide is well known that it doesn't dissociate well. It stays as one molecule. The potassium and the iodide stay together. Whereas there are other iodides out there, like ammonium iodide, that dissociate well. But the thing about ammonium iodide, well, you're putting in an ammonia with your iodide. Now you got to get rid of that ammonia too. But it breaks apart into, your body doesn't use iodides anywhere. This would be just like I saw the BS advertising for, I forget which magnesium supplement was out there, but they were like, this magnesium supplement has the 7 types of magnesium that your body needs. And it's like, no, your body needs magnesium. It doesn't need magnesium citrate and magnesium threonate and magnesium malate and magnesium whatever 8. It doesn't need 7 forms of magnesium. Once those things go into your body, if your body's going to be able to use it, it breaks it apart into the magnesium and whatever the chelate is. This is how it works. Your body doesn't use magnesium malate anywhere. It breaks it into malic acid and magnesium. And this is why maybe you've taken magnesiums in the past and one type felt good to you and one type didn't. Because whenever you take a mineral supplement, there's the mineral and then there's the functional group on it. There's what it's bound to. Both of them can have an effect. The potassium iodide stays bound together very well. It can break apart some, but it stays stuck together. My theory is that this potassium iodide is of such a shape that it can go into your thyroid and bind to the iodine spots. But it doesn't function like iodine. It would be like putting the wrong key in a lock that doesn't open it, and then you try to turn the door too hard and it breaks off. And now you have this wrong key stuck in the receptor that gets stuck there. You break the key because you kept trying to open it with the wrong key and it broke off, and now you get all sorts of thyroid problems. If I were going to take iodine of any type, I would take nascent iodine. Nascent. I've never looked up how to pronounce that word. I have a small approach to using iodine. Never do I ever use iodides of any sort anymore. So if you are eating foods with iodine in them, it's a totally different animal to iodides. Now, just so you know, in the literature, it's well known that taking any type of iodine if you have autoimmune thyroid, it increases the antibodies. So in theory, it is making your autoimmunity condition worse. If you're getting hyperthyroid from potassium iodide, you're probably on the verge. Either you already got some autoimmunity going on in your thyroid or you're on the verge of it. So, in my world, iodides are for the trash. Iodine is something. If somebody decides here, I'm going to give you one other hint. If I were to take iodine, if you're iodine deficient, getting the RDA of iodine will make you feel drastically different. Just so you know, you don't need to mega dose it. You don't need to take milligram doses to get an effect. You know what I've seen people on the internet with their comments, they start taking, potassium iodide and iodine like Lugol's or SSKI or Iodoral or whatever. And over time, they have to take bigger doses to get the same effect. I saw one woman saying, I have to take 100 milligrams ish of Lugol's to feel normal. She's destroying her thyroid is what she's doing. And, like whipping a tired horse, the horse gets more tired, you have to whip it more. You're just making the thyroid it's dying, but you're saying if I take a little bit more, it'll just force out a little more thyroid hormone. It's not the way. Selenium deficiency is rampant, and selenium has been shown in autoimmune thyroid studies, both types, hyper and hypo, to lower antibodies. That sounds good. What do I test on hair analysis to make sure I get it right? Selenium. Do I have a pretty good approach in terms of figuring out how much selenium to get people going on to get their numbers up? Yeah. Should you be scared of Brazil nuts? Not really. But weird that the main nutritional world has tried to scare you to death of Brazil nuts when it's this great selenium source. And there is actually no, as far as I know, other than people who eat obscene amounts of Brazil nuts. I think if somebody was working on Brazil nuts, I think 5 a day is a pretty good amount. If you're doing the Brazil nut thing, it's a pretty good dose for selenium. And then if you do hair testing with somebody like myself, I can tell you whether it's working for you or not. Otherwise, you're guessing. And yes, selenium toxicity can be a real thing. Anyway, I think that's enough on that. Potassium. So iodine in foods is different than iodides. I've had people, I have a gentleman who will react to the potassium in the potassium iodide. This gentleman has an extremely narrow window of potassium tolerance. He takes like 23, he eats the same thing every day. He gets like something like 2,300 milligrams of potassium. And if he takes any supplement with potassium in it, he gets calf cramps, which is usually a potassium deficiency symptom. If he even takes potassium iodide, he gets the same calf cramps. So any amount of supplemental potassium will send this man into potassium deficiency symptoms. But also if he gets too much food potassium, this is where people will say food and supplements are different. And this man has the same reactions if he gets too much food potassium or if he takes any supplements. These things are strange. These are the people that I help. So if you're out there and you're abnormal, atypical, weird in terms of your reactions to things, this is who I help. Okay, and Mehmet said, by the way, resveratrol messes with the thyroid. Not everybody knows that. This is true. We did go over some of this today. So yes, absolutely. Polyphenols messing with the thyroid. Okay. Allie said, I saw a comment concerned about choline in beef. What is your opinion? I'm not going over choline here today. I'm going to be doing a big Twitter thread, big article on it. Choline is not, you can't avoid it. It's not necessary to worry about that. But I do think that people who are trying to encourage egg consumption to get choline, I can tell you that I know Grant Genereux, the man who introduced me to vitamin A toxicity, he doesn't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. I think a normal diet, there's choline deficiency in somebody who's eating beef is not a problem. I do think that trying to get in an excess amount of choline, as I'm going to present in terms of the mortality data, the longevity data, the disease data, it's really not good for choline to be trying to force it in. So this is the difference between, people have to understand where I come from. I don't necessarily say, like with copper, you're not going to avoid vitamin A completely. You're not going to avoid copper completely. I never even suggested avoiding choline completely. But trying to force more of these things in is a bad idea. So that's what I got on that. Andrew asks, what are the optimal times to take NDLF, which is nutrition detective lactoferrin, keystone minerals, B vitamins, etc., before, with, after meals, AM, PM, first thing upon waking, right before bed? Well, that's a couple questions in there. Generally, I'll do some generalizations on this stuff. So lactoferrin, with something like lactoferrin that does improve your bile production, because bile can contain a lot of toxic stuff that can sometimes be fatiguing, or it can sometimes be energizing in a way. Like copper is very stimulating. So if people take, let's say, lactoferrin close to bed and it stimulates them a lot, they probably dumped some copper. And as long as the stimulation isn't too strong, they might want to take it in the morning. This is going to be an amazing thing. Wait for it. I'm going to give you a big general thing. If a supplement energizes you, but not in a bad way, take it in the morning. If a supplement fatigues you, take it at night. I know it's like crazy stuff here, right? But it would be like zinc. Some people, this is a great example. Zinc does stir up copper. Zinc can cause you to dump copper from your liver because you store it there into your system. Zinc displaces copper. If you dump too much copper into your system, you will tend to get stimulated. So a lot of people, if they try to take zinc with dinner, especially if they had like a high zinc dinner, like red meat, so they had a red meat dinner and then they throw zinc on top of that, and then they have trouble because they dump too much copper into their system. They can't sleep. Okay. Then I say move it to the morning. Some people, because this is the different ways that zinc can function in different people. Zinc also helps protect you against things like copper. Copper is very stimulating. So let's say somebody's been running a really high copper load in their blood and they take zinc in the morning, they try it in the morning, and it makes them tired. One of the things copper does is copper stimulates adrenaline in the system and cortisol. So if you take the zinc and it protects you from the copper, it reduces the copper impact on your adrenaline and cortisol. Then all of a sudden, those internal drugs you've been running on, adrenaline and cortisol, that make you tired but wired, you just kind of removed those from the system. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm so tired. It would be like somebody who's a coffee addict not getting their coffee. They're like, I'm so tired. Okay. So this is why we have to go with, this is one thing that I do that a lot of people don't, is we got to go with the reaction to it. Zinc generally, take with food. Take with a significant amount of food, especially in the beginning. As you get further along in the program and you get less toxic, you don't have to take the zinc with food anymore. I know I don't. Now, taking things that do create a bile dump or increase bile production, like lactoferrin, if you take those away from food, you may be in for a rough time. Generally, the things I work with, the whole point of nutritional supplements is to supplement your nutrition. Hey, crazy, right? Using those words, nutritional supplements, to supplement your nutrition. Think about this. Things that you take between meals, that you purposely take away from food. Are you trying to supplement your nutrition there? Or are you going for a drug-like effect? I'm going to say you're going for a drug-like effect because you're trying not to have the food interfere with your drug-like effect. Things that are in food, like let's say, magnesium, potassium, sodium, zinc, selenium, molybdenum. 3 of those things are in the keystone minerals. We're trying to improve the food. That's what we're trying to do. There are things, in theory, in food, synergistic things that would help with the mineral utilization. So we take our minerals generally with food to get that synergistic effect. And the minerals are not in the food, so we put them there, especially when we have testing, so we know about how much we need and we watch our body's feedback so we can figure out more or less, don't take it, whatever. Okay. So generally with meals is that's when I take my supplements. It also helps you remember, right? Because you're eating. You don't have to. I am not about, the practitioners out there who are like, you need to take this supplement 4 times a day in between meals, taking an hour away from food and it gets really obnoxious. Now, there are certain things that I work with where you don't take this too close to this. Okay. But I also tell people, like, if you can't manage it, like if somebody tells me I can't remember to take pills twice a day is about the most I ask people to take pills. Generally breakfast and dinner. If they're even taking that many pills. Well, it helps you remember if you take it with food. If I told people, well, you got to eat your breakfast, and then you got to take your pill, somebody's got, let's say they're on thyroid medication, which we get people off of thyroid medication eventually. We just had another person who came off their thyroid medication without problem. They got to wake up early and take their thyroid med when they wake up, and then they got to eat, and then they got to take, then if other people are giving them other pills, they have to take between meals, and they got to take pills between breakfast and lunch, and then eat lunch, and then pills between lunch and dinner, and then take some other thing before bed. We're not trying to do that. If somebody tells me that they can't remember it twice a day, I'll say, take them all at the same time then. Well, which is better, morning or night? Whichever one either gives you energy, do it in the morning. If it makes you feel tired, then do it at night. So we facilitate being awake or being asleep, right? We don't need to fight that. Don't take zinc at night if it keeps you awake. That's not helping anybody. Generally, if you're taking zinc at night and it's keeping you awake, it may be too much zinc for you and you're dumping copper too fast. So, B vitamins, only take B vitamins if they have noticeable beneficial effect. Do not just take B vitamins to take them. You're not doing yourself any favors by taking B vitamins just because somebody said so. If you take a B vitamin, you should notice a beneficial effect. Generally, people who work with me who try B vitamins in the beginning, they may get some beneficial effect from them. And then over time, as we actually truly get them better, they find that their need for B vitamins goes down and down and down and down until they get no more benefit from them. And then they stop taking them. That is the goal. That is truly improving your health, is having your body need fewer supplements over time. But B vitamins generally, again, follow the same rules. If it gives you energy, take it in the morning. If it helps you sleep, take it at night. Same thing. These are simple rules. So, Pierre was saying it's the modern snake oil on a global scale. Oh, the antioxidant theory. Yeah. So, well, Allie, Allie said Dr. Smith said the body reuses iodine very well, so we do not need to actively worry about ingesting more iodine. I mean, considering that the highest iodine foods, there are places in the world, Pakistan and some other countries in the world where they have it's an endemic iodine deficiency. Okay. So that means that iodine deficiency is very typical for there. Well, this woman grew up in Pakistan and she took some iodine. She talked to me. I talked to her about how I would use it. And she took some and she said, "Oh my gosh, I feel amazing. Some of these problems are going away." She's using the RDA of iodine. Maybe a little bit more. Like the RDA is like 150 micrograms? I think she might have been taking 200-ish. Okay. Amazing thing. She took it for a while. Following my instructions, she realized that she wasn't really noticing anything from it anymore. She stopped taking it and she's maintained all the benefits. Gosh, she's not taking 100 milligrams of Lugol's. And she's maintaining the benefits. Because why? Because we were fixing the toxicities and the other mineral deficiencies that were causing her problem. And maybe she needed a little iodine because she grew up in an area that was known for having both toxicities, like arsenic toxicity, hugely there, and iodine deficiency. So, considering I've been, I don't do a dairy is one of the highest iodine sources for most Westerners, and eggs might be the second iodine source. Well, I eat a couple egg whites. I eat a couple egg whites once a week. Dairy's not a normal part of my diet. Why am I not having massive thyroid problems? Why am I not running out of iodine, folks? I believe that the body is a lot of these things that can cause toxicity in the body, certain things like excess calcium, excess iron, excess iodine, we're very good at recycling them. So like you were saying, so if we're good at recycling something like this other person I was talking about, if she needed some, if she was actually deficient, we got her to take some. She took it. She felt amazing on a very, very tiny dose. And over time, she didn't need it anymore. Because why? Because we gave her enough that she could now recycle it and get enough from food. This is what we're doing. This is like real nutrition. This is real fixing stuff. So Mehmet says, but thyroid parameters goes bad with so many when they quit iodized salt. You remember how I just told you about the woman who got addicted and dependent upon potassium iodide? Potassium iodide. Iodized salt is potassium iodide. Do you think that the powers that be would actually want to put stuff in salt that everybody's eating that is actually good for you? That woman who started taking more and more potassium iodide, what happened to her? She got more and more dependent on it. She had to take more and more and more. So if you take somebody who's just on iodized salt and that's just barely keeping them like above the water from drowning, and you take away that one dependence that they had, what do you think happens to them? They go. So, let's see. Trusty Rusty's trying to be a little PC here. Is premature ending or finishing, we'll say for men, premature well, I'm just going to say it, premature ejaculation. We're all adults here. It's premature ejaculation as a man while being intimate in any way related to vitamin A/liver damage. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Because we've had people on the network, in the Love Your Liver network, who have testified to the fact that when they were really, so first you need to know that semen retention and the no-fap means no masturbating, right? Semen retention, avoiding porn, no-fap is gaining a lot of popularity in a lot of men after they do it long enough to get past that almost like drug withdrawal early part of it. They start feeling so much better. Their brain function gets better. All these things get better. Why would that be? Well, and then also some people on the network have stated, and I think I could look back on my history and say this too, that during the times when they realized that they were the most toxic in their lives was when they had the highest urges to masturbate. Interesting, right? And as I look back on my life, I think this holds true for me. I have given up on all of that stuff, but I can look back and say, yeah, I think that's right. So and then somebody posted, if anybody has that link, somebody posted it on the thread in the network about there was a study on eunuchs, right? Eunuchs who have, had parts of their genitalia removed or all of it. I'm not sure about a eunuch, if it's all of it or what, or if it's just like the neutering. I think the study was showing that they live 12 to 14 years longer than their counterparts. Something, if I remember correctly, 12 to 14 years longer. So if we got these people saying semen retention is helping their health and their mental state and their motivation immensely, we have this study on eunuchs living 12 to 14 years longer. But then what does modern science tell you that you should do, men? You need to regularly express, if you know what I mean, so your prostate can stay healthy. Oh, and porn is healthy for you. Mental poison. So if you look at these weird things where guys are kind of, in a way, taking back their power and their health by not doing it, and we see on the network, we see a pattern of where guys say, when I was the most toxic, which they want you as, I wanted to do this the most. We have eunuchs living 12 to 14 years longer. Are you seeing a pattern? What is the biggest mineral that you lose, men, when you waste your seed? Zinc. Basically, you can imagine when you do that one time, you lose about a day's worth of actual zinc you get into your body. Zinc's bioavailability is only about 10%. So if you figure a pound of meat a day is about 20 milligrams, a pound of red meat is about 20 milligrams. Chicken's way less. A pound of red meat's about 20 milligrams of zinc. Zinc is about 10% bioavailable, and just so you know, it's about the same bioavailability for supplements and for meat. From what I've researched about sperm and ejaculate, it's about 2 milligrams ish of zinc in that. So you lose a day's worth of intake of zinc every time you do that. Gosh, men, zinc is very important for your health. Zinc is very important for testosterone. Do you think they want high testosterone men around? Do you think that maybe because I measure my blood and my hair zinc and I measure other men's blood and hair zinc, that's why my testosterone was nearly 900? I got another guy at 800. I got another guy at 750. We are all in our 40s. And I just got another man in a year's time helped him to go from 400 to 650. Do you think they want high testosterone men around? They want you wasting it. They hid all this knowledge from you. They say you need to do it to keep your prostate healthy. Prostate cancer is a recent thing, folks. Porn is a recent thing. They want you broken and weak. So, I can only give my personal experience, but I can say that in my history, I have had times where I wished I could have lasted longer. And now, after 4 years of this process, I definitely don't have that problem anymore. And that was well tested. So do I think they're related? Yes. Is it possible? Imagine this. What if that route is actually a detox route for, let's say, I don't know, we do know that there's tons of stuff. You know what they want to do to give you birth control, men? You can look up the research. They want to slow down your ALDH so you get too much retinaldehyde in your testicles. They want you to store more of the aldehyde form of vitamin A in your testicles to make you infertile. It's out there. Go look it up. ALDH. Go look up ALDH, infertility, or birth control men. Let me just do, wait. Let me just do this. ALDH, contraception, male, PubMed. Let's see what we can find real quick. Hold on, I gotta look up something else because they're not going to talk about ALDH. Here it is. Inhibiting vitamin A metabolism as an approach to male contraception. Inhibiting vitamin A metabolism. You know what they mean when they say that? They're really saying slowing down or stopping vitamin A detoxification as a way to make you infertile. If you haven't seen my video on this channel of how vitamin A causes infertility in women and reduces sperm motility in men, you should go watch that video. And then if you realize that you watch the birth control video on this channel, and you'll see that birth control since 1975 has been known to raise vitamin A in the system and raise copper in the system. Wait, didn't we just say copper was related to more cancer? They find more copper in cancers, tumors, malignant tumors. Weird how all of this is going. So imagine, let's just say that ejaculation was one way of getting rid of vitamin A from your testicles, men. Does it make sense that your body might want to push that detox mechanism when you're really toxic? Our bodies are very, very intelligent. Now, is that a double-edged sword? You're getting rid of the toxicity, but you may also be shortening your life by getting rid of too much zinc. Your body makes a choice. But yeah, I definitely do think so. So think of premature ejaculation. Could that be a method that the body uses to try to get rid of this as quickly as possible? I don't know. Why not? Who am I to say how the body works? I didn't design it. The grand designer did. But yeah, do I think there's a potential? Can I say there may be other men who are willing to, comment on this about possibly how that's changed for them? I would bet it has improved quite a bit. And the desire to waste seed has gone down. Now, that doesn't mean libido's gone down. That means the desire to waste seed goes down. Okay? So, let's see. Yeah, where is Will? Allie's asking, where's Will? Will, we miss you. Noof asks, your thoughts on beta carotene oils topically on the skin? Do they increase vitamin A toxicity and should we avoid them? And what about vitamin K topically? Vitamin K topically is fine. Great. If you got bleeding gums, if you got sensitive teeth, if you've got a tendency towards very easy bruising, put vitamin K on those areas topically. The bruise, don't use like an obscene amount. You don't need that much, but you can do it topically. Yes. So vitamin K topically, I talk about it all the time to my people. Beta carotene oils. Let me find this. I've gone over this before. Okay. What do I think about beta carotene on the skin? I just posted a link. Here's the title. It's from The Sun, but they got pictures of it. Not worth it. Mum 24, quote, cooked herself like a roast chicken. Who talked about that? And got third-degree burns using carrot oil to sunbathe. Cooked herself like a roast chicken and got third-degree burns using carrot oil to sunbathe. It is well known in the literature that vitamin A toxicity increases photophobia and it increases, what's the skin sensitivity to light? Is that photophobia? Why am I not remembering it? Photophobia is the eyes, the eye sensitivity to light. The brain fart. What's it called? Oh, photosensitivity. Yeah, photosensitivity. That's all. Photosensitivity is just being sensitive to it. Also a sun allergy. Oh, let's go do that while we're here. So anyway, it's well known that vitamin A causes you to be more sensitive on your skin. You're more easily burned. That's why when people take Accutane, they tell them to not go sunbathe, stay out of the sun. Weird that they tell ladies the same thing with birth control. What's the commonality there, do you think? Birth control raises vitamin A. Accutane is the active form of vitamin A. More vitamin A in your skin makes you photosensitive and photophobic. There's a reason for all of this, folks. Putting carrot oil on her skin got her third-degree burns. Okay, but let's go. I have a post on this. Oh, sun. Where did I use the right term? Sun allergy. Okay, so I'm putting this link in the chat. Title of it is Sun Allergy and Sun Poisoning Are Signs of Poison/Vitamin A Toxicity and Major Detox Dumping into the System. Let me open this up. Here, let me just go through some quotes from this. Vitamin A and its derivatives are well known to cause skin irritation and greater skin sensitivity to sunlight, a reaction known as photosensitivity. Well, there it is. I should have remembered this. Now, here's another paper. Ultraviolet irradiation of human skin causes functional vitamin A deficiency, preventable by all trans retinoic acid pretreatment. They're saying that if they could put retinoic acid, retin-A, on your skin, it will reduce the functional vitamin A deficiency in your skin. Okay. Here's a list of, I'm going to read the bolded ones here. Severe sunburn or sun poisoning can cause symptoms such as the following. This is sun poisoning from WebMD. Skin redness and blistering, pain and tingling, swelling, headache, fever and chills, nausea, dizziness. Okay. Let's go into the symptoms of hypervitaminosis A that might be similar to what we just went over. Headaches, rash. These are symptoms of hypervitaminosis A from, let me see where this website is, healthline.com. Headaches, rash, drowsiness, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, increased pressure on the brain. That's called headaches. Blurry vision or other vision changes, swelling of the bones, bone pain, swelling of the bones. Did you catch that? Bone pain, dizziness, nausea and vomiting, sensitivity to sunlight, dry, rough skin, itchy or peeling skin, confusion. The World Health Organization says adverse events following administration of vitamin A supplements, skin changes, erythema, pruritus, desquamation. Let me go over those fancy words. Think of what symptoms do you get when you get a sunburn that my vitamin A minimizing people don't get anymore? Redness, peeling, itching, stinging. Okay, do you know what erythema is? Is redness of the skin. Pruritus is itching of the skin. Desquamation is peeling of the skin. They're just saying that too much vitamin A supplements will give you all the symptoms of a sunburn. Weird, right? A sunburn is damage to your skin from the sun hitting the vitamin A in your skin. The people who work with me and do other things like of minimizing vitamin A in their diet, over time, they stop getting sunburns. What are they lacking in their skin? In a good way, might be vitamin A. What happens when a woman puts carrot oil on her skin? Third-degree burns, plus the sun. Okay, so there you go. So Hope says, my daughter visited her grandmother last summer. She used her shampoo she had there because she forgot hers. It burned her skin. It had a form of vitamin A in it. Topical is not good either. I agree. So let's see. Bob, I'll go get that. Does anyone remember the brand of wood charcoal that Dr. Smith says that he liked? I'll get my link here. Let me find it. Basically, hardwood charcoal is what I like. If you buy capsules, I'm only going to put the powder here because it doesn't taste like anything. And capsules, I think I calculated it out. Capsules cost 13 times more per gram than powder does. 13 times more per gram, I think, was what I calculated. Link in the chat. The brand is Zen Principle. Now, I'm going to be looking into making my own charcoal supplement, Hardwood. It's not out. Don't get excited, but I'm looking into making a couple more things. Got two other supplement products in the works, and I'm thinking charcoal's becoming very, very important in my mind to this whole process. And so got to help people get the good stuff. Oh, wait, what is that? What is this? Oh, there is. Okay, there's Matt. Thank you very much for the super chat, Matt. Here we go. Here's your question. My 25-year-old son has had GERD symptoms, gastroesophageal reflux disease, as they call it. Symptoms for 2 years, persistent acidic taste in the back of the mouth and throat, burping that brings up more acid. GI supplements haven't helped. Any recommendations? So, I think I went over in one of the live streams here how GERD, like our stomach is designed for stomach acid, right? So it's probably not stomach acid that's causing our gastroesophageal reflux disease. And some people in the alternative world will say, well, GERD, acid reflux, is not actually an excess of acid in the stomach. It's a lack of acid in the stomach. And so the lack of acid is not closing the sphincter at the top of your stomach that prevents you from, we all naturally burp all the time, whether you notice the burping or not, there's air coming back up your esophagus. So that sphincter is opening and closing to let food in, right? And to keep things from going back up. So it closes to keep things from going back up, and it opens to let food go down. And there is natural air that moves back and forth. What happens is when the stomach contents are going back up in the esophagus, you're not supposed to have any of the stomach contents going back up. That's a problem. So that's reflux. That's the definition of it, right? So if, let's say, the alternative folks are right, which I do think they are, that the pH of the stomach is not where it should be, and it's the acidity of the stomach. I love when the people who are like, alkaline everything. It's like, no, because one valuable thing I got out of naturopathic medical school was a teacher taught me. He said, one of the biggest problems in the body, how the body gets problems, is when parts of the body that are supposed to be alkaline become too acidic, and parts of the body that are too acidic become too alkaline. Do you know that if your stomach doesn't have enough acidity in it, you're more susceptible to food poisoning? You don't break down and absorb your protein very well. And in theory, it affects some of your B12 absorption, but I have research showing that 60% of your B12 is absorbed by bile down in your gut, which is a whole nother story. But anyway, one of the things that could, let's say the theory that the stomach is too alkaline, and that's why that sphincter is not shutting. Think of it as a certain acidity triggers it to shut. Because it knows that you got food in there, we put in the stomach acid, we got this mixture, it triggers the acidity, alkalinity sensors on the stomach and closes the valve so you don't get burping food back up. Okay? Well, one of the things we talk about here a lot is toxic bile or cholestasis going in the wrong places. One of the easiest places for bile to go is it goes into the intestines and it can go backwards up into the stomach. This is the source of most people's nausea or vomiting, especially when you vomit bile that's yellow and bitter. This is morning sickness. Cholestasis is pretty much, I've actually gone over the study here where they say it's intrahepatic cholestasis is considered normal in pregnancy. That's bile going into their blood. We know that women get morning sickness all the time these days. So what if bile is actually alkaline overall and it went back up into your stomach? Could that make your stomach less acidic and then cause this valve to not shut? Sure. What do people try to do to get their stomach acid, better? They'll take betaine HCl, they'll take apple cider vinegar, they'll take lemon juice. Things that help with the acidity of the stomach. Well, what are you trying to counter? Why is the stomach not acidic enough? Possibly because you got bile going back up there. So the things that we would do, the things that you can, that are in the Love Your Liver program that you can do, these concepts, once you understand the concepts and you're in the Love Your Liver program and you figure out what does what, it becomes easier to manage. But there's bile in the stomach. This goes along with GERD. I mean, I can here, let me just go. Let's do bile. GERD PubMed. I'm not even going to read this whole paper. I'm just going to tell you the title of it. Toxic bile acids in gastroesophageal reflux disease. Influence of gastric acidity. Wow. Toxic bile acids? Who talks about toxic bile? From their conclusion, toxic secondary bile acid fractions have been detected in patients with extensive mucosal damage. Here's the gist. I'm just going to review this. Your chronic diseases, folks, are caused by toxic bile going to the wrong places in your body. One of the places it can go is back up into your stomach. It could go in the bile ducts. It could go into your pancreas. You could have bile that just sits and gets all nasty in your gallbladder. Get gallbladder problems. Toxic bile is the cause of your leaky gut. I've been over that. Toxic bile can leak out of your liver. It can leak out of your bile ducts. It can leak out of the leaky gut. Now, I've added one more thing to this list. I found research showing that bile that goes up into the stomach can be directly absorbed through your stomach mucosa. It can go directly into your blood from the stomach. So that's another way you can get bile into your blood. What happens to all this toxic bile in the blood where it's not supposed to be at all? It just flows around in your blood and attacks the weak links of your system. So this is how toxic bile could cause disease anywhere in the body, because where does the blood go? Everywhere. Do different people have different weak links based on genetics and nutrition and toxicity and the recipe or composition of the bile and all sorts of the toxicities that are in the bile? Yeah, you can show up problems anywhere. Different people will show up different problems everywhere. And this is where people go, well, what is it? What disease does cholestasis cause? Anything. Show me modern medicine coming up with better ideas about what causes disease. They'll put up cell studies and they'll say, well, this is good for this and this is bad for this. And how much further is modern medicine getting us on fixing disease? They're just coming up with more expensive solutions that don't work. So, one of the things that people can do for bile in the stomach is charcoal. Hey, we were just talking about charcoal. Charcoal soaks up bile really, really well. That's a good and a bad thing. Because bile is, as I've talked about before, bile is the trigger for you to poop. Not enough bile in your intestines, touching the intestines, you're constipated. Too much bile in your intestines, touching your intestines, you get the runs. What is charcoal really good at that I just said? Soaking up bile. If you're constipated and you take charcoal, you're maybe not going to poop for 2 or 3 days. Be careful. Be very, very careful of taking charcoal if you're constipated. So one of the things so people with diarrhea, charcoal, absolutely. If you're pooping once a day, you're going to have to be real careful with charcoal. Because I would consider you constipated. If you're only pooping once a day, I'd consider you constipated. Pooping twice a day, you could start experimenting with some charcoal. But you can also just experiment with the dose. Men tend to make more bile than women, so men can tend to mess around with charcoal more than women. It's just the way it is, ladies. I'm sorry. Men make more bile. So, psyllium, also one of the things we found that can be helpful for acid reflux, GERD. First of all, you gotta calm down on anything you know that increases bile production, because the bile is already going the wrong way. So if you increase the bile production and dumping, which is what we do a lot of on this program, because so many of the poisons, the very same things that slow your detox system, slow your ALDH, tend to make you make less bile. This is just the pattern I've seen in the literature. So you're slow. If your detox system slows down, you make less bile. If we do things to speed up your detox system or to take the brakes off, you make more bile. What if that bile is still going the wrong way? You can get more of the symptoms. So it's a delicate game that we're playing. This is why I say this is not a game. You're out there trying to do all this on your own without all the knowledge and experience that we have from nearly 1,500 people now in the Love Your Liver program. You can go and make all the same mistakes again on your own. It's cool. You could lean on almost 1,500 people who have been doing this for a while in the Love Your Liver program instead. Very helpful people in there. I lost my train of thought. Oh, we were talking about GERD. So charcoal mixed with what a lot of people have found that works well, charcoal mixed with psyllium fiber. There is a psyllium fiber here. I'll just put my Amazon list link in the comments, so y'all can find it. It's also in the video description down there, I believe. So yeah, there's a you want generally with psyllium to make it not so gross, because it's kind of gross once it thickens up. Finely ground, as finely ground as you can get. Don't get the chunky stuff. The chunky stuff is just, ugh. Does it still work? Yeah, but it's just, ugh. But what you got to do, so here's an important thing if we're going to talk about using bile acid binding things to help with GERD. Do not take pills. Pills may pass through your stomach without ever breaking open, or if they break open too late and you're already moving it through your stomach, you need to soak up the bile, right? He's got coughing or the bitter taste. You said bitter taste, and where did that go? Where did that question go? There it is. So he's got persistent acidic taste in the back of his mouth and throat and burping. You need if you do charcoal or psyllium, you need it to be working as soon as it's in his mouth. You don't want to take pills of psyllium, pills of charcoal, have them travel down until they're like almost out of the stomach, and then finally they start dissolving and opening up, and then they just keep moving, and you didn't absorb any of the bile that was in the tube. So here's how we do that. Charcoal, how much? Experiment. Can't give you an amount. Just so you know, one capsule is about the equivalent of a 1/4 teaspoon. That's just so you know if you're buying pills. But pills, we talked about not using pills in this situation. So you use a powder of charcoal. If you have capsules, you could open them up. That's fine. If you have tablets, you could grind them up. That's fine. Just remember, you paid 13 times more per gram of charcoal if you get them in capsules or tablet form. So you could either capsule your own, or you could just do the powder. Charcoal doesn't taste like much of anything. It just looks really crazy because it's so black in the water. Anyway, charcoal in water, and then you add some psyllium to it. Here's the key thing. Soluble fiber needs to be wet to work. You want it to go down into your stomach activated, if you will. I know we talked about activated charcoal, but I'm talking about activating the psyllium. So this is the part that's it's not my favorite, but charcoal and psyllium in the water, mix them up, let it sit long enough for it to start thickening a bit. I'm not talking about leaving it there until it turns to a big old thing of Jello. No, we're talking about just, you can tell. Like, you could be stirring it, and if you stirred it for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, you would see that it is definitely thickening up. Then it's activated. Then drink it. But the other thing that we need to do is we need to chill out on the agitators, the things that are creating the bile dumping. There's foods that will. Here, wait. Let's just go. Let's go into this. Should be fun. Healthline. What foods should you avoid with acid reflux? To prevent reflux, you can try decreasing your total fat intake. Gosh, what would fat cause? High fat intake would cause lots of what dumping? Oh, bile dumping. Interesting. Here's the problem with fats, folks. Fats also make you absorb your bile acids better, so you recirculate them better. You don't get rid of them very well. Now, let's go through this. French fries, deep fried onion rings, potato chips, butter, whole milk, cheese, ice cream, high-fat sour cream, high-fat creamy salad dressings, creamy sauces and dips, high-fat cuts of red meat such as marbled sirloin or prime rib. What do we have here? We have added fats, French fries, deep fried onion rings, potato chips. Well, we got nightshade in terms of potatoes. We got lots of fat. We're looking at the dairy, butter, whole milk, cheese, ice cream, high-fat sour cream, high-fat creamy salad dressings, creamy sauces and dips. Dairy seems to, what's dairy high in? Calcium, vitamin A, vitamin D. Weird. What are we talking about not eating so much here? Those things. High fat cuts of red meat. I'm going to give you a hint here. High fat meat is not healthy meat. If you don't think, if you were a cannibal, let's just say that, I'm making up something here. If you were a cannibal and you were looking at like humans as like livestock, and you were looking at a person who was in good shape, like wild game, versus a person who is obese, which one would you think is the healthier cut of meat to eat? I know it's kind of weird and morbid, but really, when you think about it, if you believe that significantly overweight people are by definition unhealthy, which this is true, I'm not saying anything to be mean here, it's just it is. You can look at significantly underweight people are unhealthy too. So I'm just going to pick on one side. There's a normal weight. You can look at people and know if they're a good weight. This is an instinct we have. So really fatty meat means unhealthy cows. Okay. Oh, spicy foods. They talk about spicy foods. In fact, a 2017 Korean study found that hot, spicy stews led to GERD symptoms in more than half of assessed cases. Yeah, there we go. So, spicy foods, are those a nightshade? Oh, wait, they are a nightshade. There's the Mexico City study that went over the highest consumers of spicy foods in Mexico City had 17 times higher risk of stomach cancer. 17 times, huh? All right. Fruits and vegetables, pineapple, citrus fruits. Citraldehyde slows your detox system. Citrus fruits, very brightly colored ones. We've been over grapefruit slows your detox system. Oranges, lemons, limes, plenty of vitamin A in there. Tomatoes, hey, another nightshade. Garlic and onions, what do we talk about not doing those for? Too much sulfur. Weird, this list of foods. Several common drinks may also trigger symptoms in people with GERD. These include alcohol. You know that retinol is an alcohol? Wait, there's a lot of vitamin A foods on this list? What a weird coincidence. Coffee and tea, very high in tannins, which are also polyphenols. Weird. Carbonated beverages. Well, that just makes you burp. Citrus and tomato juices. With or without caffeine, coffee might promote reflux symptoms. What's really high in coffee? Well, I mean, besides the insecticide called caffeine, it's very high in polyphenols. Other foods, medications, and supplements. For example, you may experience symptoms after consuming chocolate. Chocolate's really high in copper. It's also really high in polyphenols. Mint, such as peppermint or spearmint. Do you know menthol? Menthol is an alcohol. Heavily processed foods. Well, that's just garbage. Antibiotics. Are you telling me that antibiotics can cause the same symptoms as these foods? Weird. Aspirin or other pain relievers, bisphosphonates, alpha blockers, nitrates, calcium channel blockers, tricyclists, theophylline, iron or potassium supplements. Okay, potassium supplements, chloride can stimulate bile dumping in some people. So potassium chloride can aggravate people's stomachs a little bit sometimes. So anyway, look at that list of foods. Isn't that weird how they all correlated? Wait, what happened? What happened? Did you guys lose my picture? I don't even know what happened there. I come back to my YouTube live stream and I'm on a black screen. Anyway, so Matt, there's just that. So the funny thing, if you guys don't remember, or if you haven't read Grant Genereux's books at G Genereux, here I'll type it here in the chat, GGENEREUX.blog. He has 3 free ebooks about how he figured out vitamin A was toxic. Well, you want to know one of the first things he did being an engineer? He had eczema really bad, which was the thing that bothered him the most. I mean, he was jaundiced. His liver was failing. He had chronic kidney disease, so his kidneys were failing, and he had eczema. Really bad, really painful, ugly eczema. You know what he was most concerned about the eczema, right? Because we're humans, we're vain. So what did he do? He went and looked up the foods that triggered eczema. What foods were those? Well, 9 of the 10 of them were they had vitamin A in them. So he went and looked at what all these foods have in common. The thing he found most in common with them was vitamin A. So that's how he decided that he was going to avoid vitamin A. And that's how he led to this whole thing. And now there's people out there saying that eggs relieve eczema. Jiminy Christmas. You can take Accutane to relieve your acne for a while as it poisons your liver too. Eggs are known as the second worst food for eczema. And yet now we've got people out there in the vitamin A detox world saying that you should eat eggs to calm down your eczema. All you're doing is stopping your detox. That's how vitamin A relieves some symptoms until they explode later. So, I think I'm going to take one more question. Let me find out where I was. Sam said, I got multiple side effects from Accutane and I'm in the recovery process. I consume these in my day-to-day life and would like to know if they are safe to consume. Viagra. We get to talk about a lot of men's stuff today. Okay. I'm going to be blunt here. I had a buddy of mine from medical school. He went to work in I'm just going to call it that. He went to work in a boner clinic. Okay. He went to work in a clinic where it was a one-stop shop for your boner drugs. You want Viagra, you want Cialis. We'll get into the injections, teaching men how to inject themselves. And what he was running into there. You got all these young guys who want to perform like the guys they see on the internet, if you know what I mean. And they were taking things like Viagra and Cialis very regularly. Let me tell you what happens. This is the duration paradox. This is things that work in the short term often destroy the very thing they help in the long term. Okay. So this is from a guy who works in a clinic for this. He was having to tell these 20-something and 30-something men who wanted to go out and, be like that on demand, that if they did it too often, the more you use it, the less it starts working. And you'll get to the point where you can't get an erection without it. And then you got to move up to the next level drug. And then the only way you can get erect is to take that drug. And over time, it will work less and less until it doesn't work anymore. And then they have to teach men how to inject drugs like these directly into their penis. And that's the only way they can get an erection. This is the nature of pharmaceuticals, folks. They're poisons that make your body do something. Okay? Cyclists in the early Tour de France used to take strychnine because it made their muscles contract better. Oh, you win the Tour de France, but yeah, you took 10, 15, 20 years off your life. Cool beans, bro. Cool. If that's what you're after, short-term performance, you can do that. Look at the Liver King. Oh, that's going to be ugly when that goes bad. That's going to be so ugly. Health does not equal aesthetics. This is a very important thing. I mean, we want to have people be healthy, and then that will be reflected in their appearance, but we do not want to think that things that make people just look better makes them healthy. Look at the Liver King. The crash and burn that's coming on that is going to be so crazy. We're already seeing it in the nose to tail carnivore world. The crashes and burns are coming. It's going to be very, very ugly. And I'm going to point it out. I'm going to point fingers. I am not going to be merciful with it because people deserve better. They don't deserve me tiptoeing around it once it happens. So you only put one there, Sam, that I saw. Oh, there's a whole list. Okay. Viagra. I mean, okay. Like you want to have function, right? And if you're not working with me on the minerals, you got a long way to go. I don't know what to say. And the liver Accutane people take the longest to fix. So if we go in here and we go, let me just do this. What is it? Sildenafil? No. Is it I want to look up the generic name. I just want to remember it. Sildenafil. Yes, I was right. There have been at least 5 reports of acute liver injury attributed to sildenafil use, but no instances of acute hepatic failure. Oh, that's good. It hasn't killed anybody. Yeah, case 1, acute cholestatic hepatitis caused by sildenafil. So Accutane caused you a liver injury. That's why you have symptoms now. And you're taking another medication to help with a symptom of the liver injury that can also cause liver injury. Medicine is happy to give you, medicine has allowed for these poisonings to happen. Medicine is encouraging poisonings to happen. And then they give you poisons to counteract the poison damage. This is what they do. Another paper, sildenafil-associated hepatotoxicity, a review of the literature. So, let's see, what else do you have? Xylitol. I don't trust xylitol at all. Most of it's GMO. Sugar alcohols. Not a huge fan. Chicken. I eat chicken regularly. Get it organic if at all possible. You said fructose. I'm going to say anything where fructose is added or where it's like a processed form of fructose, like people think agave nectar is going to be so healthy. That's like more fructose than high fructose corn syrup. If we're talking about fruit, I'm not concerned. And you listed bananas, apples, grapes, etc. I'm not worried about fruit, especially low vitamin A fruit like you listed. Water in a plastic bottle. It would be much better to not drink water in a plastic bottle. I would much rather somebody was, getting an AquaTrue reverse osmosis filter and cleaning their water and then not putting it into a plastic container. Yes, the AquaTrue, it is plastic, but it's not heated, and that's, it's only in there for a bit. So, but yeah, I generally try to avoid drinking plastic water bottles as much as I possibly can. That's just, am I going to drink it sometimes? Sure. Yeah. I'd rather not die of dehydration than worry about plasticizers in the water. I would rather not die of dehydration. My brother just thinks my brother's been helping a guy, I think, with construction outside in Arizona, and we're into the cooler months, and he was having some abdominal pain the other day, and he's like, I've had this before. This happened when I got dehydrated. So I told him, don't do that again, right? Doc, it hurts when I do this. Don't do that. So yeah, but he drinks out of plastic water bottles all the time. I can't help him, apparently. Try to get him off of fast food, try to get him off of plastic water bottle. I don't know, man. You can't always, this is the real thing. So if you guys think that like everybody around me should be doing all the things that I suggest, no, your family is not going to listen to you. You're going to have loved ones, family, friends. They're not going to listen to you at all. They're going to think you're a weirdo because sheep, NPCs, they don't want to. Let me tell you, my ex-wife thought I was weird about the nutrition stuff because it didn't fit with the normies. She also watched NBC Nightly News to tell you how much of a normie she was. So, not everybody around you is going to listen to this stuff. We're changing the world here. Not everybody goes along with that. What else do we have? Carbonated water. You know what? I've tried carbonated water a bunch of times. I remember you used to do Gerolsteiner back when Gerolsteiner used to be naturally carbonated, and now it's not. Now they add carbonation to it. I had the SodaStream. I don't. Every time I drank it for a while, my body eventually said, don't do this anymore. I completely lost my taste for it. I do think my intuition about my longer term intuition on things is pretty good. Funny thing, I used to use charcoal a lot and I came back to it. I think my journey was to discover some other things in the meantime that if I was doing charcoal too much, I might not have figured them out. God works in mysterious ways, does he not? So, yeah, I think that's all the questions for today. But yeah, you want to, Sam, if you're not in the Love Your Liver program, I would get in there because that's where I talk about the things that I think are the biggest things that nobody's talking about. Like, I don't talk too much about artificial sweeteners in the Love Your Liver program because if you're trying to get healthy and you don't even know artificial sweeteners are bad, you got a long way to go. I had somebody try to tell me that inside the Love Your Liver program that microwaving food, that they couldn't find any evidence of it being bad for people. If you're still microwaving your food, you got a long way to go. Seriously. Artificial sweeteners, microwaving food, like don't use aluminum foil. Like, serious. These things, I may need to put them in there because these are basics. Aluminum ruins your brain. Avoid anything aluminum. How's that? Aluminum pots and pans, aluminum cans, Tetra Paks, the boxes for like chicken broth, rice milk, coconut water. There's aluminum on the inside of all those. I can tell when you use those on your hair test. They're trying to poison us from all angles. And then you got the natural crowd going, cook your food in cast iron. And I'm like, oh, God. You're eating rust out of cast iron. What causes oxidation of iron? Heat, light, and air. What is cooking? Heat and air. Heat and air. And then you put water in it, which is food, right? Food has water in it. So you got water, heat, and air. And then you scrape the iron to get the food off of it. What do you think you're scraping off into your food? People used to think it was so bad when they would have, like, I don't know if you guys remember in school, they'd get like the bag of Total cereal, which was like the multivitamin cereal, and they would crush it up and then they put a magnet to the side of it and you could see the iron filings that they added to the Total cereal that were the source of iron in it. What do you think you're eating when you're eating cast iron, out of cast iron? You're eating iron filings, rusted iron filings. Does that sound good? They're going to get you from the mainstream side and the alternative side. Dark to light. They're going to get you. I'm the guy out here in the middle saying, you got to watch out for both of them. There's people out there in the political world saying that, but nobody's out here in the nutrition world saying it, except for me. I think that's all we're going to have for today. So, hope you all enjoyed it. Don't shove plant antioxidants down your pie hole. You want my main website, nutritiondetective.com. That's if you want to find my supplements and work with me on consultations. Then there's members.nutritiondetective.com. That is the Love Your Liver program. That is the do-it-yourself part. If you work with me on testing and consultation, you get free lifetime access to the Love Your Liver program as part of that. And what else? Oh, if you don't follow me on Twitter, if you want to follow my most up-to-date stuff, my best stuff, get on Twitter, NutriDetect, at Nutri, NutriDetect. I put stuff out on Instagram, I put stuff out on Facebook, but Twitter's where I have the most fun these days. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. We will see you next time. Bye now.